He didn't grow up around the sport like Dale Jr., wasn't a young phenom making a name for himself in his mid-teens like Joey Logano. He didn't even grow up in the Deep South, but instead, Missouri. Yet as strange as his path has been, it's nothing compared to a member of his crew named Kevin Harris. Caitlin Vincey has a story of one of the most unique men in NASCAR.
Kevin, you're a former football player at Wake Forest, also a double major in communications and sociology.
That's right, yeah.
But how did you get into racing?
Funny enough, I started at Wake Forest at the end of 2005, early 2006, and after a few years there, I found out, surprisingly, that we already had a former Wake Forest Stephen Deacon and Nate Bowling that was jacking the 11 car. That was my foot in the door. I wasn't very familiar with racing coming out of college. I was always a stick and ball guy, primarily football, baseball, track.
And how has your background in football helped you now as a pit crew member in NASCAR?
Preparation is so important, and basically because our season is so long in racing, it's literally February to November. Each week we're preparing for a new track. We're preparing for the pit stops, and in football each week we had a new opponent. Then we're always practicing, preparing, watching film, lifting weights. So it was actually a pretty easy transition.
And you have two roles here. You're also involved on the sponsorship side. How did you first get interested in that, or what piqued your interest about it?
So my first year in racing, I was pitting on Mark Martin's car, and it was his final season at Hendrick Motorsports. I remember I was on pit road, either running tires or talking with some pit crew guys or setting up the box. And I looked over at a guy, he was wearing a FedEx polo, and he was walking around sponsors. And then a few hours later, once the race started, I saw the same guy, and he was in a FedEx fire suit, and he was carrying rear tires for Denny Hamlin's car. I went up to him and introduced myself. His name was Heath Cherry. He's actually my boss here at Joe Gibbs Racing. And when I started in 2011, I just kind of picked his brain on how he got into the position, how he juggles both responsibilities, and he's mentored me up until the point where I signed on with Joe Gibbs the first of this year.
So that kind of is what first piqued your interest. You're like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing? I want to do that, is exactly what I thought. Going to Wake Forest and getting, 2 degrees, I knew that football was not going to last forever as an athlete. I wanted to have a backup plan. I wanted to have a future and a career. And I felt like if I was going to stay involved with racing, that was my best way to do it. I think that's the best part about Joe Gibbs Racing, is that they set you up to wear multiple hats and to learn a lot of different sides of the business. Everybody's so helpful, so it definitely assists in that area of not getting too overwhelmed and juggling everything. We have all hands on deck.
So what's that balance like, going from pitting the car, being over the wall, then to take that helmet off, put the other hat on, and be the sponsor side?
It was a very funny transition, because as soon as we show up as a pit crew member, you immediately start building your pit box, prepping your tires, and getting ready for the race that may not happen for 4 or 5 hours. But I show up in a button-up, and then I'm out there running tires and helping drilling tires. And then as soon as I'm done with all of that stuff, I'll then go and meet up with the sponsors at Credentials, help coordinate anything they have going on at the track that day.
You said you've worked with a lot of different drivers. Now you're working with Carl Edwards.
That's right.
What's that been like for you, getting to know him and just working with him on a weekly basis?
I think Carl's a great guy. He's the ultimate professional. I'm so happy we got that win in Charlotte during the 600. I think he would probably giggle, because every time he sees me, I'm usually trying to gather autographs for the sponsors. But he's a busy guy. I mean, our goal is to win. He pushes himself really hard, and it's been great.
And when you were in school, did you ever see this as your